Hey everybody! Today we're going to be working on SAT practice, and more specifically, we're going to be looking at the English or the writing and language section. So, I pulled this test straight from the College Board website. It's the practice test 1, and a couple tips before we get into it. Key tips for the English section. If you get stuck, read each question as if you were reading it out loud to yourself. You'll be able to catch mistakes easier that way. Number 2, process of elimination is your friend. So, knowing what you know, this will help us get to the correct answer easier. And the last key tip is focus on the underlined portion first and only read outside of it when you need a little bit extra information. So let's get started. Okay, we have the first passage, but the first question isn't until the second page. Okay, so let's take a look at number 1. Notice that it's only changing one single word, and let's try out the first tip where we just read it out loud. So with the way that it reads, it says, given these solutions, as well as the many health benefits of the food, the advantages of Greek yogurt outdo the potential drawbacks of its production. So even just doing that trick out loud or doing it in your head probably should have signaled that outdo sounds wrong. So if we look at the questions, or if we look at the answers for number 1, an easy way to see which one works best is just replace it when you read it out loud to yourself. So I'll start after the comma. The advantages of Greek yogurt defeat the potential drawbacks. The advantages of Greek yogurt outperform the potential drawbacks. Or do the advantages of Greek yogurt outweigh the potential drawbacks? So to me, outweigh sounded like it fit best. It was the most logical and smooth answer that made sense. So I'm going to choose D. Oops. I'm going to circle D as my answer. Oops. Not like that. D. And it is the right answer because all the other options didn't work so well. So let's move on to number 2. Which choice provides the most relevant detail? So first, let's take a look at what exactly number 2 says as a sentence. Over here, they can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement, and people can make their own Greek-style yogurt at home by straining regular yogurt. Now, just by reading it, there's nothing grammatically wrong with that. It sounds totally okay, actually, but the question isn't asking, is it grammatically correct? It's asking which choice provides the most relevant detail to the rest of the paragraph. So for this one, we'll have to read a little bit before the sentence that it's highlighting, just so we know, is it staying relevant to what's being talked about beforehand? So let's start at the beginning of the paragraph and just see. The main environmental problem caused by the production of Greek yogurt is the creation of acid whey as a byproduct. Because it requires up to 4 times more milk to make than conventional yogurt does, Greek yogurt produces larger amounts of acid whey, which is difficult to dispose of. To address the problem of disposal, farmers have found a number of uses for acid whey. And here is our detail again. They can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement, and people can make their own Greek-style yogurt at home by straining regular yogurt. Okay, so we can see that the paragraph started off by highlighting a problem that the creation of Greek yogurt and acid whey has onto the environment. So having number 2 read the way that it does, it's talking about ways to make Greek yogurt at home, and it's not even talking about an environmental concern at all. So we can go ahead and cross off A. We know it's not going to be A. We can't leave it as it is because it's not relevant to what the paragraph's talking about. So going through our list of answers then, with choice B will read as they can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement and convert it into gas to use as fuel in electricity production. That definitely sounds like a positive environmental impact that it can have rather than a negative. So let's hold on to choice B and let's check the other two. Okay, with choice C, it would say they can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement, while sweet whey is more desirable as a food additive for humans. So this one, it's straying less away from the environmental impact that it may have again. So probably not C, and then let's check choice D. They can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement, which provides an important element of their diet. This one just sounds too vague to be considered a relevant detail concerning the environmental impact that Greek yogurt production has. So we can cross off D too. And that leaves us with choice B, which is the correct answer. Okay, now we can move on to number 3, moving it down just a little bit. Okay, so number 3, this time it's just checking to see if our grammar and punctuation is correct. So let's read it as a sentence first. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid whey runoff can pollute waterways, depleting the oxygen content of streams and rivers as it decomposes. Sounds so far so good to me. So I'm gonna hold on to no change, and I'm just gonna verify that our other answer choices aren't more correct than what's already here. Okay, so choice B says acid whey runoff can pollute waterways, apostrophe S. Well, we know that we need to be talking about multiple waterways, or the plural version of waterways. So adding an apostrophe would make it incorrect. So let's go ahead and cross off B, and for the same reason, we can go ahead and cross off D. So the last one to check would be C, and let's see. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid whey runoff could have polluted waterways, depleting the oxygen content in streams of rivers as it decomposes. So that one changes the verb consistency of the sentence. If it started with if it could have improperly introduced, or if it could have been improperly introduced into the environment, then choice C would match in consistency. But since it doesn't, we can cross that off, and no change is correct. Okay, so moving on to 4. Notice that with number 4, the only thing that's changing in between what's given to us and the answer choices, it's just punctuation. So this is all going to be testing our knowledge of which punctuation is correct. So let's take a look at it as it is. Yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, semicolon, and government officials are also working together to develop additional solutions for reusing whey. Okay, so semicolons, if you're familiar with semicolons already, you would know that they function like periods. So yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials. So we definitely wouldn't take a full stop there. We only need a pause in between. So I'm going to go ahead and cross off A just because semicolon, we can't use it there. The first part also is a subordinate clause. It can't stand on its own. And to use a semicolon, we need 2 independent clauses. And so let's check the other choices. Yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials. Okay, so the way that they're using it is already wrong, because with colons, you either have to use it before a list of more than 3 things or before expanding on a previous independent clause. So because if we put a colon there, we still have a subordinate or a clause that can't stand on its own in front of it. That colon there doesn't work. And additionally, we're already given a list of 3 things. So it would be extra incorrect to put a colon in the middle of a list rather than before it. So we can cross off B as well. So checking C and D, they're very, very close. The only difference is, do we put a comma after the and? So this kind of boils down to very, very basic comma rules. When we list out things, we always only put the comma before the and not after. Not after. So we can go ahead and cross off D too. And the correct choice is C. Number 5, to make this paragraph most logical, sentence 5 should be placed where it is now, after sentence 1, after sentence 2, or after sentence 3. So this is one of those questions, kind of just like number 2, where we will have to read or look at the paragraph as a whole and see which place sentence 5 better fits. So let's take a look at just sentence 5 right now to see what it's even talking about. What detail is it providing? So if it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid way runoff can pollute waterways, depleting the oxygen content of streams and rivers as it decomposes. Okay, so we pretty much already read this whole paragraph at this point, but just thinking back to what we did read, we know that in the first half, they're introducing an environmental problem that the production of Greek yogurt causes, and specifically with the ingredient of acid whey. So they talk about possible problems, and then around sentence 3, they talk about how that problem is being addressed and solved. And then we changed this part too to make it more relevant. So this whole middle section, sentence 3 and sentence 4, they're talking about ways that the problem is being solved. And sentence 5, as we read, sounds like it's more of an identified problem rather than a solution. So with that in mind, I think that it's safe to cross off choice A. Where it is right now, it doesn't provide the most consistent flow of logic, because it goes from here's a problem, here's ways to solve it, oh, but here's another problem, and then it ends on a good note. So definitely where it is wouldn't work. My guess is going to be somewhere up here, and luckily that's all that we have to work with. So let's determine exactly where. If we put it right after sentence 1, let's see. The main environmental problem caused by the production of Greek yogurt is the creation of acid whey as a byproduct. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid whey runoff can pollute waterways, depleting the oxygen content of streams and rivers as it decomposes. Because it requires up to 4 times more milk to make than conventional yogurt does, Greek yogurt produces larger amounts of acid whey, which is difficult to dispose of. So notice that sentence 2 talks about ways to dispose of it. Sentence 1 introduces the environmental problem of acid whey. So would it make logical sense to go, here's acid whey as a problem, here's what it does to the environment, and then sentence 2 says, here's how it's bad for the environment? It would work the other way around, right? Where you introduce the problem, and then sentence 2 introduces why it's a problem, and then sentence 5 would further expand on the details of how exactly it's bad for the environment. So I'm going to cross off B just because it was closer to the most logical spot in the paragraph, but if we put it after sentence 2, that's even more clear of an idea. So they talk about the main environmental problem is the creation of acid whey as a byproduct. Because of its difficulty to get rid of, or because of its difficulty to dispose of, this is what can happen. So we can go ahead and just answer or circle choice C, because we know that putting it after sentence 3 would interrupt the flow of logic between sentence 3 and 4 as well. So now we're looking at number 6. It's another lengthy question, so it's probably going to be a rhetoric type of question or asking about the composition as a whole. So the writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Should the writer do this? Before we decide yes or no, let's take a look at the underlined sentence, and I'm just going to read a little bit of the sentence after it to see what the effect of sentence 6 really is. And then from there, we can see which statement that it matches with. And also, we can judge better, is it needed? Yes or no? And process of elimination from there. So, as it reads, though these conservation methods can be costly and time consuming, they are well worth the effort. Nutritionists consider Greek yogurt to be a healthy food. It's an excellent source of calcium and protein, serves da 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 da. Okay, so with the way that it reads to me, I think that if we were to take that out, it would lose a good talking point. So from there, we can go ahead and eliminate choices A and B because they both say that yes, this part should be deleted and we want to keep it. So we're going to focus on C and D. We've already eliminated half of the potential wrong answers. So between these two no options, let's see which statement matches the purpose of sentence 6. So choice C says no, because it continues the explanation of how acid whey can be disposed of safely. Or is it D? This shouldn't be deleted because it sets up the argument in the paragraph for the benefits of Greek yogurt. Well, let's take a look at our sentence again. Though these conservation methods can be costly and time-consuming, they are well worth the effort. So, looking at choice C doesn't match at all. It's not talking about how acid whey can be disposed of safely. It's talking about more of how it can be used for Greek yogurt, right? And we see that in the following sentence as well. So we can go ahead and cross off C, and our correct answer for number 6 is D. Okay, moving on to number 7 now. Some easier questions, or at least they're not rhetoric, it's just grammar or word choice. Okay, number 7. I'm just going to read it out loud as it is. It is an excellent source of calcium and protein. Serves to be a digestive aid. It sounds a little awkward to me already, so I'm just going to try reading it with the different choices. It serves as a digestive aid. Okay, that sounds good to me. It serves like a digestive aid. No, we don't really compare things like that. It serves for a digestive aid. No. And comparing the way that it's written with our possible correct answer, it serves as a digestive aid sounds way better than serves to be a digestive aid. So we can go ahead and cross off A. B is our correct answer on this one. Okay, and now moving on to number 8. Number 8, as it reads, it's building off of the sentence. It serves as a digestive aid, and it contains few calories in its unsweetened, low, and non-fat forms. Okay, so to me it doesn't sound so bad yet, but let's just check the remaining answer choices to verify. Serves as a digestive aid and containing few calories in its unsweetened, low, and non-fat forms. That's more awkward, I feel, than our original, so let's go ahead and cross off B. It serves as a digestive aid and contains few calories in its unsweetened, low, and unfat forms. Okay, it doesn't sound so bad. I'm gonna hold on to that one too. And then the last one, will contain. It serves as a digestive aid and will contain few calories. Already the way that the verb is presented to us, we don't need it to be in future tense because our sentence is in present tense. So let's cross off D as well. And checking between A and C, they both didn't sound wrong, but one of them will be more consistent than the other. So choice C, it's just contains, while A is it contains. And really, we don't even need that it in front of contains because we already have that same pronoun in the beginning. So we don't need to repeat it. And C will be the more concise and the correct answer. And then the last one on this page, before 10 and 11 on the next one, is number 9. Notice that it's highlighting the choice of transition words. So just for this one, I'm going to read the sentence that comes before it leading into our transition, just to see is the one that they give us, is it good as it is, or do we need to change it to one of the answer choices? Okay, so starting right here, Greek yogurt is slightly lower in sugar and carbohydrates than conventional yogurt is. Also, because it is more concentrated, Greek yogurt contains slightly more protein per serving, thereby helping people stay whatever the rest of the paragraph says. Okay, so honestly, it sounded fine to me the way that it was using also, so I'm just gonna hold on to choice A, no change for right now. But let's see if the other ones work better. Greek yogurt is slightly lower in sugar and carbs than conventional yogurt is. In other words, because it is more concentrated, Greek yogurt contains slightly more protein per serving. Well, it's not really expanding or giving other words of the last sentence. So definitely not B. Is it C? Greek yogurt slightly lower in sugar and carbs than conventional yogurt is. Therefore, because it is more concentrated, Greek yogurt contains slightly more protein per serving. Therefore, doesn't really blend well with the facts that it's presenting us. Usually, therefore, we would come with kind of like a conclusion or a reasoning coming from a fact. But here we have fact and a fact. So we can cross off therefore as well. And then, is it for instance? Greek yogurt is slightly lower in sugar and carbs than conventional yogurt is, for instance, because it is more. Okay, no. Yeah, the next sentence doesn't give us an example, and for instance, just like therefore, kind of sets up an example. And so we're good with choice A as it is. Okay, and we've made it to the last page of the passage as well as the last page of questions 10 and 11. We may need to go back and forth for number 10, but this one, notice that they're all different words. So it's all going to be which one has the best definition or the best use. Okay, so starting with number 9 into number 10. Also, because it is more concentrated, Greek yogurt contains slightly more protein per serving, thereby helping people stay satiated for longer periods of time. So, I know that they took out the whole vocab section of the SAT. Anytime you see words in daily life that you don't know, look up the definition, because how many of you know what this term satiated even means right now? If you don't know what it means, satiated, this means to be fully satisfied. Fully satisfied. So, between the word that it gives us and the other answer choices, let's see which one's correct. Going back, thereby helping people stay satiated for longer periods of time. So, if you're not good with vocab, think about what common word would fit best in this place. So, I think that something like the word full, even just staying full for longer periods of time, that fits, and it fits the meaning of our sentence as well. So let's see if any of these other choices better describe being full than what's already there. Thereby helping people stay fulfilled for longer periods of time, thereby helping people stay complacent for longer periods of time. Okay, I'm definitely going to cross off C. It has nothing to do with being full, appetite-wise. They're able to stay sufficient for longer periods of time. Based on the way that B, C, and D fit in the sentence, I crossed all of those out because choice A, no chains, satiated, it fully fits our description of what we would say if we use simpler words. So choice A is correct, and satiated matches what we're trying to say. For our last problem now, number 11, comma usage. Okay, so reading, let me find the beginning of the sentence. Okay. Because consumers reap the nutritional benefits of Greek yogurt and support those who make and sell it, therefore farmers and businesses should continue finding safe and effective methods of producing the food. Okay, so as it is already, it's just way too wordy. Not only is that comma awkward, but the rest of the sentence that follows, it sounds even more awkward. So I'm just going to cross off no change. Can't be correct as it is. So let's take a look at the other choices then. With choice B, let me see. Because consumers reap the nutritional benefits of Greek yogurt and support those who make and sell it, farmers and businesses should continue finding safe and effective methods of producing the food. That sounds like it cleans it up very nicely. I'm going to hold on to B. Let's check the others. Support those who make and sell it. So farmers and businesses should continue finding safe and effective methods of producing the food. Our sentence starts with because. So it would be a little bit awkward too to be like, because consumers reap the nutritional benefits of those who make and sell it, so farmers and businesses should continue finding. Yeah, it's kind of the same situation as therefore. Putting a word before farmers kind of changes up the structure of it and makes it awkward. So I'm going to cross off C as well. So with the last one, does choice D work? Because consumers reap the nutritional benefits of Greek yogurt and support those who make and sell it, farmers and businesses should continue finding safe and effective methods of producing the food. I would cross off this one because the use of that colon there, it's not correct. We know that there needs to be a pause in between it and farmers, and a colon kind of serves as a stop punctuation mark, but we don't need a full stop, we need just a pause. So that leaves us with choice B, and it's our correct answer because it makes the sentence flow the best. And we have just finished one whole SAT English passage. So going back up to the top, remember the key tips. Read each question as if you were reading it out loud. I know it might feel awkward when you practice on your own, but you keep doing it to yourself, and eventually you'll start reading it out loud in your head. And then come test time, you'll be fire. And second tip, process of elimination is your friend. So notice how on every single question we did, I crossed off any wrong answer that I knew right away wouldn't be right, just to visually see or to visually get us to the right answer quicker. And then the last one, focus on the underlined portion. Read outside of it only when you need to. And also, a tip that is not mentioned, or it's not written here, but I did mention, read up on any vocab words that you don't know the definition of, just like satiated, number 10. Anytime a word comes up in reading, in the news, or wherever, if you don't know the definition, look it up, and it might be an SAT word. So thanks, guys, and good luck.